We saw Ahsoka start off with 2 of her katana lightsabers, and then when she fought Baylan, she switched up to just 1 because of the power moves that Baylan used against her, similar to Darth Vader in Star Wars Rebels. However, did you notice during her flashback on Mandalore, she was using the 2 lightsabers that Anakin gave her at the end of the Clone Wars Season 7 arc? And even though she fought Darth Vader / Anakin with those lightsabers, there was one question that still to this day remains unanswered. We saw Order 66 according to Ahsoka's point of view. In fact, in Tales of the Jedi, it was revealed that Anakin himself had inadvertently prepared Ahsoka for Order 66 by training her in exactly that scenario, clone troopers firing at her from every direction. She survived, saved Rex as well, and both of them faked their deaths. Now, what do we know by the Clone Wars finale? Following the founding of the Galactic Empire, Darth Vader lands on an unidentified moon and finds Ahsoka Tano's lightsaber, even engages the lightsaber in what was a beautiful moment with Vader holding a blue lightsaber signifying his past and also confirming his present. He is a Darksider. Now, after confirming it to be hers, Vader pockets the lightsaber of the presumed dead Ahsoka Tano and used it as evidence that his former apprentice was dead, supposedly to his own master, Darth Sidious. Many have wondered, and it's unclear when Darth Vader actually found Ahsoka's lightsaber, but the Clone Wars finale implies that it was much sooner than the Battle of Yavin. Of course, Vader's body language shows that he felt a hint of emotion when he found the lightsaber at that moment, and the climax of Star Wars Rebels even implies that he still cared for Ahsoka. You know, that moment when Vader has partial face visible, his mask is kind of torn by Ahsoka, and he actually stops Ahsoka in mid-tracks, ultimately revealing that his dark side has a bigger grip on him than even Ahsoka and Vader originally thought. We know, of course, that during the Season 7 finale of the Clone Wars, it is shown that Ahsoka crash lands on an unnamed moon following the siege of Mandalore. She buries both her lightsabers and her deceased clone troopers. Sometime later, Darth Vader visits this unidentified moon that's now covered in snow, finds a rusting clone trooper helmet and a lightsaber that confirms belonged to his former apprentice. As I said earlier, many fans have been wondering, what timeline is this? When did Darth Vader actually find Ahsoka's lightsaber? Vader by this point is wearing his black armor, so it definitely took place following the events of Revenge of the Sith, but Vader did not appear in the Clone Wars finale until the very last scene. And since it is Season 7 finale, we will never know for certain how long after Revenge of the Sith did Darth Vader find this lightsaber, but there are nonetheless clues showing us what timeline it supposedly is. One major clue that the fans have already pointed out, it involves the fact that Darth Vader already has his red lightsaber during his landing on the moon during this scene. Now, from the canon comics, we know that Vader built his red lightsaber after he killed Kira Kinfala, meaning he discovered Ahsoka's lightsaber after this event. By the time he does this and bleeds his crystal, we see that more than a year has already passed after Order 66. Snow also partially covered the grime and rusted covered clone trooper helmet that was left behind. The helmet's paint is also kind of faded, meaning that the moon had already gone through several rotations around its planet. It's also a moon whose climate changes with seasons, since when Rex and Ahsoka landed, it was dry and not ice covered. Given the helmet's condition and the snowy season, it kind of coincides with what the comics show us, that at least 1 year has passed before Vader found this lightsaber. But there's also more clues now with the Bad Batch, especially Season 2. The presence of stormtroopers and snowtroopers during that scene signifies that the clone army had already transitioned or was in the process of transitioning into stormtrooper legions. If we have clear-cut stormtroopers and snowtroopers, it solidifies that some time has passed. Even the Bad Batch shows us that a few years have already passed, so things might be even later than we originally expected. In order to understand what Darth Vader actually did with Ahsoka's lightsaber, we kind of have some clues during that particular scene, because while the scene does not contain any dialogue, neither a monologue, Vader's body language tells us how much of Anakin remained in him at that particular moment. A year or two after Order 66, he felt something upon that discovery. For one, Darth Vader stops and surveys the crash site. This is the first clue. Had he felt nothing next to arriving to confirm a crash site, he would have turned and walked away immediately. Next, Vader notices the lightsaber and kneels. In our galaxy, kneeling has always been associated with respect toward a fallen or missing soldier, further implying that the emotional Anakin is still hanging by a thread in there. When Vader picks up the lightsaber, he reveals yet another clue when he brushes off the snow with his free hand, as though to ensure beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is Ahsoka's lightsaber, the one that he actually gifted to her. Very curious, he ignites the blade, knowing that it is blue. He can confirm that it is Ahsoka. Furthermore, such confirmation signifies he found closure regarding what happened to Ahsoka. And lastly, he also spots the Mirai, where we also see Vader's hint of eyes behind his helmet, shining for the briefest of seconds. At this point, Vader had lost everyone associated with his old life. He had lost Padme, he lost Obi-Wan, and now he believes he lost Ahsoka, and is free to move on with his full allegiance to the Sith. Now, what did Vader do with Ahsoka's lightsaber after he walked away with it? After finding Ahsoka's lightsaber, Vader pocketed it, walked away, and never looked back at the wreckage and the makeshift clone trooper graveyard. While he took the lightsaber to supposedly confirm Ahsoka's death, some speculate that Vader formed a plan in his mind to use her abandoned lightsaber as evidence while not truly believing her to be dead. If this was the case, of course he was right, because he meets her again in Star Wars Rebels, confirms that Anakin Apprentice lives. Even Palpatine is shocked by this, a little, signifying that he relayed this information originally to Palpatine that she is indeed dead because he found her lightsaber. Now for the grand speculation for my big thought experiment of the day, I think that something more sinister happened when he took that lightsaber. There's a reason, I think, that Darth Vader ignited that blade. He wanted to see if the crystal inside is still intact. Being the sinister mind that he is at this point, I think that Vader might have purposefully taken this lightsaber back to his quarters and bled this crystal also, bled Ahsoka's kyber crystal in order to use it in his lightsaber. This would be poetry in motion, similar to George Lucas's style. Dave Filoni wanted to ensure this as well, that if Darth Vader grabbed Ahsoka's kyber crystal from that lightsaber, bled it, and inserted it into his own lightsaber, suspecting that Ahsoka might not be dead, one day he could fight and kill Ahsoka if he finds her with her own kyber crystal. This is how sinister Vader could potentially be. At least that's how the comics kind of show him. They show him to be an evil, maniacal, at times and scheming Sith Lord. Maybe giving credence to his crimson blade as well, since in the comics it is red, not crimson. After he got Ahsoka's lightsaber, this could signify why he has kind of a crimson blade instead of a full-out red. Talk to me down below, tell me your thoughts.